In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
Yum. Science. It's not rocket science.
Check it out. I blinded us with science.
Experts are now saying it's safe to store potatoes in the fridge. For years, people were told that putting them in the fridge would increase the risk of cancer when they're cooked. See, I'd never heard that.
I'd never heard that either, but wow.
But now the food standards safety industry is backpedaling on that a little bit, saying experts are now saying storing potatoes in the fridge, previously thought to be a health risk, is a good way to get the most out of them, especially if you're not using them straight away. No, I store mine under the sink until they grow like weird arms and legs and start taking over the sink.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Hey, if you still feel tired after having a good night's sleep, maybe try a sleep mask. This new study has found that wearing an eye mask to sleep will actually help you feel more alert the next day. So researchers found that the simple hack of just blocking out as much light as possible will actually boost your alertness the following day. Now, you can get light from anywhere, right? You have electronics. You've got a night light. So if you do get up to go pee, you don't trip over everything.
Clock, radio, all that kind of stuff.
Street light shining in. But they found that those who wore an eye mask to sleep for a week actually performed better on a bunch of different exercises. And so they say this could actually be a pretty effective and inexpensive way to improve alertness and work performance.
Another study shows that exercise can be more effective for mental health than medication or therapy. Research team involved over 120,000 people involved. So the study's authors said the report says that exercise is beneficial in reducing depression and anxiety symptoms. So exercising interventions lasting about 12 weeks or less were most effective at lowering those symptoms. So the greatest mental health boosts were seen among people with depression, postpartum, generally healthy people that were living with other things. So kind of interesting, the connection between exercise and mental health.
Mm-hmm. Have you been trying to lose a few pounds? Apparently, scientists believe the hack to reduce food consumption is to spread your food out on your plate. So they found that cutting food into small pieces and then scattering across a dish can actually trick your brain into thinking you're eating a lot more.
Oh, instead of piling it all up.
Mm-hmm. So apparently participants were shown multiple photos of a chocolate bar with the candy split between 9 and 16 pieces. And they actually thought the 16 pieces of chocolate was a larger portion than the same sample that was just broken up into 9 pieces. So it's led them to conclude that, portion size is perceived when the units are separated rather than gathered. So yeah, spread the food out. Don't pile it up.
It's kind of like a pizza, right? When they ask me if I want it in 8 pieces or 16, and I always tell them, 8. I could never eat 16 pieces. That joke, come on.
I'm just shaking my head at you right now.
I'm just not that hungry. 8's good. All right, and one more story. The Jesus lizard, or also as it's known by its actual name, the basilic lizard, it's an invasive animal to Florida, and it may actually be bad for humans. Turns out they can be a host for mosquito-borne diseases that could affect humans because they eat so many mosquitoes. Well, here's a little clip of it from National Geographic telling you all about this lizard, and listen to the end and how quick it can move.
It displays one of the most spectacular capabilities in nature. A true superpower. This flat-footed reptile is so fast and so light that it can run across the surface of the water at speeds as much as 5 feet per second.
5 feet per second.
On water.
On water. In 10 seconds, it can be 50 feet away. I want that running towards you. All right, there's a lot to unpack with this story. It's absolutely wild. A couple in Pennsylvania named Tony and Frances are celebrating 57 years of marriage this year. And you're like, oh, okay. Even though Frances hired a hitman to kill Tony back in 1983.
They actually tried multiple times to have Tony killed, including using a car bomb, a baseball bat, sleeping pills, and a gun. He even survived a shot to the chest and one to the head. But the first thing he did after 12 days in the hospital was go and bail Frances out of jail.
She spent 4 years behind bars. They talked on the phone every day. Tony admits he wasn't the greatest husband and they weren't communicating. But after lots of counseling, he says that they have a great marriage now.
Twice, one in the back of my head and one down on the bullet went right through the chest.
And the one in his head is still there. I don't think I was thinking straight. It was like a love-hate kind of a thing.
And then we both cry and we said to each other, from now on, let's talk. Let's communicate better. Something that we should have done before.
I don't even know where to start with this.
I mean, it takes someone killing you or attempting to kill you to change your behavior.
First of all. Second of all, could you forgive said person that did that and get back with them? Forgive, sure, but then get back with them again? I mean, would you be worried if you forgot to pick up bread and milk at the store that she was going to go after a hitman again? By the way, back in 1990, their story was made into a movie starring Kevin Kline and Tracy Ullman.
It was called I Love You to Death.
What a wild one. It is Cereal Day today, celebrated on the anniversary of the world's first cornflakes being served to sanitarium patients in Battle Creek, Michigan in 1897. And with that in mind, a majority of us, when we go to make cereal, pour it in the bowl, put the milk on. But there's 11% that do it the opposite way.
They put the milk in first. Some of them say, or they claim, it gets less soggy that way. But then I feel like it could be messier. The milk would splash as you pour the cereal in.
Pouring all these chunks of things in there.
The only time I've ever done it that way is like I pulled the milk out and I was like, oh, there's only a little bit left. So I put the milk in the bowl and then I put some cereal in so that I didn't mess up the ratio, right?
Yeah, see, I can understand that. Do you remember shredded wheat, like when it was like in the bales? I don't know if they still sell it like that.
Yes, I do remember them like that.
So sometimes we would have that. One of my brothers, I think, liked it. But there was never enough milk that you could put on that thing until it turned into like a shredded wheat quicksand. And it was just...
Especially...
soak it up like a sponge.
Weren't you supposed to like warm up the milk too? I feel like that would make it go, that process even faster.
No, I think we cooked it with like hot water first to kind of soften up the bales. And then you'd pour that out. And then your milk and sugar.
So appetizing talking about eating a bale.
Well, that's kind of what they were like. It was like you're eating a bale of straw or hay.
I mean, I like frosted mini wheats.
Those are different.
I'm a fan of those. Right? One, they're little, and two, they've got sugar all over them.
It already cuts out one of the steps. All right, some of the other things people said, though, in this poll about food, 57% said yes to the classic question about pineapple on pizza. Somewhere Mike is yelling right now. 9% put ketchup on their fries rather than on the side. So are you on the side or on top?
I'm on the side because otherwise then the fries get soggy sometimes.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly on the side. Occasionally maybe I'll just... If I'm hungry and I'm eating it quick, it doesn't matter.
It depends, but I think if you put the ketchup all over the fries and you don't get to them quick enough, then you kind of get like soggy where the ketchup sits for too long.
Do you put ketchup on a poutine?
No.
I've done that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and up in Northern Ontario, they absolutely do it. There's some amazing poutine up there.
But why do you need more sauce? You have the gravy.
Well, you have the gravy, but it just adds a little extra flavor there.
You can have my ketchup then.
87% keep their ketchup in the fridge, 13% in the cupboard. 60% opt for smooth peanut butter over crunchy. Come on. Crunchy's the way to go.
Oh, definitely. And like extra crunchy, all the way there.
Extra crunchy.
Have you ever had extra crunchy?
She just wants a whole jar of peanuts. That's what I think you're talking about here. And 67% of people would prefer eating corn while it's on the cob. I actually watched a great video the other day. This toddler, probably 2-ish, sitting on her grandma's lap and eating a corn cob. And the grandma goes to take it, and she takes it for a second, and she goes, "No, Mama!" Takes it back, and then starts shaking her head at her. My corn, do not do that. Well, yeah, corn on the cob. Summertime? Classic, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Although I'll eat corn the rest of the year. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, no kidding. So in honor of Cereal Day today, here's comedian Baron Vaughn talking about the cereal aisle.
Sugary cereals are like on the bottom shelf of a cereal aisle. Healthier stuff is like at the top. Kashi, eat that. You're not sure what's in it. You're not even sure if you said it correctly. But it's gotta be good. There's pictures of wheat on the box. And look at the one next to them. They're hugging and smiling. Know why? Because they're gonna live past 40. Then I go down one more shelf. Corn Chex is cool. Corn Chex is totally fine. 12 essential vitamins and nutrients. It's right on the box. Corn Chex still doing great. Then look down one more shelf. Honey Nut Cheerios. Okay, I'm losing you a little bit. It is Cheerios, which is good. But I'll tell you my greatest concern. There's a cartoon on the box. But it is a cartoon bee, and at least bees exist. As long as you stay with illustrations of things that are actually things, you're doing okay. I mean, Cheerios, I'll accept it. Final shelf. Elves aren't real. Why is that tiger wearing a scarf? He shouldn't be cold. He's covered in fur. That captain does not look licensed to operate a vessel on the milk seas. And you're going after a cereal that features the modern Stone Age family? That's not a thing! You can't have a small brontosaurus as a pet dog. They never existed. Keep down this path, you're going to end up just like that diabetic vampire.
There's a chain on social media where people are talking about the, quote, little things that make them irrationally angry. And I think when it comes to these minor annoyances, finally, for once, we're not divided, as it seems to be we are on so many things lately these days. So here are some of the best ones from this entire group.
Like when you're in a public bathroom and the motion sensor on the paper towel dispenser doesn't work, or the motion sensor on the sink, the tap, and you're just like waving your soapy hands underneath.
What's happening here? Why is the water not coming on? Or then you want you to wave in front of the towel thing, and you're waving to the point where your hands are almost dry.
The worst is you'll put your hands underneath the tap, and as soon as you move your hands out, it'll turn on. On the tap.
Of course. How about this one? When people speed up when you signal a lane change.
Oh, yes.
Just want to go over. Oh, now you're going faster. People who, kind of make up an answer instead of admitting they just don't know something.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay to say you don't know.
Just say you don't know the answer. How about this? This one happens all the time with us because we wear headphones, but your headphone cord getting snagged and yanking you and what it's caught on. I can't tell the number of times I've knocked everything off my desk with the headphone cord.
This one should be right near the top, in my opinion. People who don't pick up after their dogs. See a lot of that now that we've had some snows and melts. The little biscuits there showing up in the lawn.
It's one thing when it's your own yard, but if you're on a walk, come on, clean up after your dog.
Another one that made the list for people cutting in line or letting several of their friends cut in line. Oh, I think we can all agree that would be annoying.
This one bugs me. Someone who won't text, but instead calls and then leaves a very vague voicemail like, call me back. I need to talk to you about something.
Yeah, that immediately makes my stomach drop because I always think the worst. I always
Bad
go
news.
to the worst.
Or when someone texts you, can I ask you a question? Just ask the question. Like, I have friends that do it all the time. What are you doing on Friday night? I don't know. It depends on what you have in mind, whether I'm free or not. Just tell me what it is you want me to go with you to on Friday night, and I'll make a decision based off of that.
This is another big one, I think, for many of us. People who don't return their shopping carts at the grocery stores.
Oh my gosh.
And leave them all over the parking lot.
Yes.
I get it. Sometimes, some people have limited mobility. However, you were just shopping. You were just using that cart. Come on. Make the effort to at least push it close.
Or plan ahead then and park close to the cart return thing.
How about YouTube recommending videos that don't start with the first one of a series?
Yeah. So you're like, here's number 3. Well, where's 1 and 2?
Jump right in. When people tell you to do something as you're already doing it. Now, I'm literally doing that right now. The buzzing of a fly's wings. I would add, what's worse of that? A mosquito at nighttime.
Oh, yeah. Or a cricket.
But mosquito worse because they're searching you out, right? Whether or not you're camping, but in your house, now I've got to turn the lights on and find said mosquito and destroy him.
There was one night where I heard a cricket, and I literally flipped the couch over to find it and crush it because I couldn't stand it.
When you take a bite of a sandwich and all the fixings slip out of the back, everything's sliding. Or I will say this. As someone that likes the flavor of onions, but I don't like big chunky onions, you bite into an egg salad, but yet there's onions in it.
Oh, especially when they're raw, too.
I expect that to be soft. I do not expect an egg salad sandwich to have a crunch.
Makes me think that you left some of the shell in there. And finally, when people talk in baby voices.
I mean, if you're talking to an actual baby, I suppose that's fine.
But if you're talking to another grown adult.
Or a dog, maybe, I suppose, in limited moments.
I do that. Yeah, I talk to in a baby voice to my dog all the time.
Do that. We all make up, songs for our animals and things like that. But yeah, talking to another adult in a baby voice, just one of the things that made this list. And it's a big one of the things that annoy us the most. We're living in a world now where it seems like there's more and more automation around us all the time, even our vehicles. And Ford is working on a new feature that would let people take naps behind the wheel. Their CEO recently talked about it in an interview.
Yeah, so up until recently, they've been working on fully autonomous cars where you wouldn't have to drive at all. But they've abandoned that for now, and they're working on a different feature.
Eyes off the road on highway driving. we feel like that is such a big unlock for customers. Think about your daily commute and being able to go to sleep in your car or whatever on a sunny day on the highway. You know, what an unlock that is for customers. We just got more excited about that than, you know, a fully autonomous fleet of vehicles someday in the future.
So obviously they'll have to prove it's safe enough before any laws would change to allow people to sleep behind the wheel. But he says he doesn't think we're that far off, but didn't give really a timeline for it.
It is worth noting that there are a few people who have already done this in their Teslas. Mm-hmm. It's not legal or safe to do it, though, but some people have been caught doing it.
I don't think I could do it. I don't think, because at my age of driving for how many years, behind the wheel, being alert, looking around, I don't think I'd be safe enough to be thinking, oh, well, I can just take a nap, and meanwhile the AI doesn't recognize a curve, and I go over the cliff while I'm half asleep.
My question is, where are you finding a cliff in Chatham to go over?
Could be driving anywhere.
But my other thing is if all the cars have this technology, yeah, sure, it would probably work great. But what about the one rando who's driving like a 1984 beater down the road, cutting in and out of traffic because they literally don't care?
While they're texting, right?
On their cell phone,
Does your
distracted
computer
driving.
recognize that? Can you program the AI to recognize the person that's texting and driving while they're eating a burger beside me? That might be the way to go in the future. I don't know. I mean, everything changes. Eventually we'll all have that, I think.
My commute to work's like 8 minutes, so...
Not enough time to
I don't think it's really worth it.
Solid nap. It's International Women's Day today, and we came across this article talking about the top female artists who've really helped to shape country music over the years. I would say Sarah Evans is in that discussion. However, not in the top 10. Coming in at number 10, Shania Twain.
Yeah, her first album out in 1993 was too poppy for some country music purists. But then her second album 2 years later had 6 number one hits and really helped to make country more mainstream and really ushered in, like, the 90s were such a girl power era. And I think a lot of that was thanks to Shania.
And you think about someone like Sarah Evans, right? Came out in that time period too. Coming in at number 9, Jeannie Seely. Her biggest hit was Don't Touch Me in 1966. She was also the first woman to regularly host segments on the Grand Ole Opry and the first to ever wear a miniskirt on the stage.
How scandalous.
I'm sure it was. It was a big deal back in the day when she did it, and I'm sure it was almost headlines in Nashville at that time.
Number 8 on this list of the most influential female artists in country music, Trisha Yearwood. Of course, she was massive in the 90s. And, her first single, She's in Love with the Boy, hit number 1 all the way back in 1991.
I would argue that this next artist should be higher on the list. Patsy Cline came in at number 7. Now, she also died pretty young in a plane crash in 1963. She was only 30 years old. But, man, you think of, some of her amazing songs like Crazy. Walking After Midnight, right? Just a few of the iconic songs that she recorded.
You know what, though? I think because her career got cut short, I think we missed out on so much that could have been with her. And at number 6, Dottie West. Now, some of the younger people listening like me might not know her, but she was a huge deal back in the 60s, 70s, and the early 80s. She did duets with Kenny Rogers. And sadly, she passed away when she was just 58 years old in a car crash. She was driving to the Opry back in 1991. And I think maybe that's why a lot of younger people don't know about her as much.
So we're talking about the top female artists who've helped shape country music. Who do you think is at number 1 on this list? You can text us your guess just for fun at 519-351-6300. Who do you think is going to be in at number 1 on this list? In at number 5,
Carrie Underwood, because she brought in just so many fans and really gave country a big boost after she won American Idol back in 2005.
Tammy Wynette at number 4. She had a ton of hits in the 60s and 70s, like Stand By Your Man in 1968.
And at number 3, Reba. She's put out over 60 albums, more than 120 singles, and she's had a hit in every decade since the 70s.
Pretty amazing. Okay, so now we're down to the top 2. And I know a number of people guessed this next person, but she came in at number 2.
Dolly Parton. She actually was really good friends with the artist that came in at number 1.
Which is?
Loretta Lynn. And I think this opening line pretty much says it all. It's hard to imagine where country music would be without Loretta Lynn.
Because it's a cascade effect, right? So you look at how the list is laid out. You've got Loretta Lynn, what kind of influence did she have on people like Dolly Parton, Reba, Tammy Wynette, even though they had careers in a similar timeline, but it was Loretta that sort of set the standard for so many people.
And Loretta and Dolly were good friends, such good friends that when Loretta did pass away, Dolly said that they were more like sisters.
So we had some people guessing. Miranda Lambert got a couple of guesses from different people. Dolly Parton got a number of guesses. Shania Twain getting some guesses. Hannah, good job, Hannah, guessing Loretta Lynn in at number 1. So there's a 43-year-old guy by the name of Robert. He lives in Wisconsin. He hasn't had a ton of luck with online dating, so he recently rented a billboard to try and find himself a partner.
He lives just outside of Milwaukee, and the billboard says this: Date Robert, Wisconsin's #1 eligible bachelor. There's a picture of him in a cowboy hat, belt buckle, and sunglasses. It says he's looking for a local honest woman, and there's a phone number that you can call or text to leave a message. And he says he's planning to rent more billboards over the next few weeks.
I'd like to walk down the sidewalk on a nice summer day and just hold someone's hand. Dating sites just weren't working for me. Match and Tinder and just none of them were working. I hope people take us serious. I want someone to take us serious. Don't be shy. Call me.
Well, this part might be more of a deal breaker, though. A local TV station covering the story felt the need to list one final detail. They noted that someone filed a restraining order against him last year. Now, we don't have details. All we know is it's a 4-year restraining order that's apparently still in effect, and he also faced a disorderly conduct charge last year.
Red flags. Red flag.
Something went wrong there. But if you're interested, his phone number is all over the internet right now. So if you're looking for love in all the wrong places.
He wants a local lady, though, not Chatham Ken.
No long distance calls.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.